American Morning, tomorrow, 6 Eastern.
We're out in the open tonight with the controversy that generated thousands of emails when we first touched on it. Intolerance against people who don't believe there is a God. So what's it like to be an atheist in America? Our Vegas correspondent Delia Gallagher looks at one family's disturbing experience.
We've seen this part.
As an atheist, I'm the last minority that it's okay to really bash or put down.
Jean and Mike Rice are atheists who live in Colorado.
We're regularly told that we're
That's all we want, baby.
That we're sending our children to hell.
That's all we want.
Saying this to your face.
This
to our face.
Television.
You've got a nice place to raise them. And
Jean and Mike both grew up in Christian families, attended church and Bible school, and both say that at an early age they questioned the idea of a higher power.
I was 9 or 10, and one day, for the first time, I realized that everyone else believed all these stories. I just didn't realize what they meant, that there's actually supposedly something out there.
The price of coming out publicly as atheists can be high. In the last town they lived in, Jean Rice says soon after confiding her atheism to a friend, her landlord told the family they would have to move.
Within a few days of my telling her that we are atheists.
Between 1% and 3% of the overall population. That's at least 3 million people. A recent study by the University of Minnesota found that atheists are the least trusted minority group in the United States and are less accepted than other marginalized groups, including Muslims and homosexuals.
I get calls from all over the United States from people who have been harassed, ostracized, sometimes lost their jobs because of discrimination against non-theistic Americans.
We feel to a certain extent that atheists are very much on the attack.
Ryan Anderson with the religious journal First Things says atheists themselves contribute to the mistrust.
Part of the public persona and the public image of atheism is what's presented by people suing, to remove "In God We Trust" from the coins or the God phrase from the Pledge of Allegiance. And that militant atheism becomes the public image of atheism. I think that gives rise to a lot of discontent with atheism.
When they can talk about religion and preach on the street corner, but if we try to do the equal time, if we try to go out there and say as much about that there is no God,
I'm not
and they want to say that there is a God,
I'm the one being oppressed at that point.
Delia Gallagher, CNN, Colorado.
Well, after we first brought this topic out in the open, most of the emails that we received were from people who thought that we should have included an atheist in our discussion. So now we're going to turn to one of the world's most prominent atheists. Richard Dawkins is an Oxford University professor whose bestseller sparked worldwide controversy. The God Delusion argues that belief in God is not only irrational, but it can be deadly. Paula spoke with him just a couple of days ago.
Why are you an atheist?
Why don't you believe in Thor? Why don't you believe in Zeus? Nobody believes in most of the things that you could believe in. You're an atheist with respect to the flying spaghetti monster. I'm an atheist with respect to the Judeo-Christian God because there is not a shred of evidence in favor of the Judeo-Christian God or indeed any other God.
It strikes me that the atheist message is particularly threatening to some Christians because they believe in some way you're trying to compromise their ability to have this stuff out there on the public stage. Is there any public role as far as you're concerned for religion?
I think people should be free to believe whatever they like, to write whatever they like, to say whatever they like within reason. But the problem is that religious people, I think especially in America and also in the Islamic world, are in the habit of getting it all their own way. All we do is use words to talk about things like the cosmos, the origin of the universe, evolution, the origin of life. If you're an atheist, you know, you believe, this is the only life you're going to get. It's a precious life, it's a beautiful life, it's something that we should live to the full, to the end of our days. Whereas if you're religious and you believe that there's another life somehow, that means you don't live this life to the full because you think you're going to get another one. That's an awfully negative way to live a life. Being an atheist frees you up to live this life properly, happily and fully.
Richard Dawkins, we really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The word I used was fervor.
Semi-opening opinions and allegations. Next, our panel weighs in.
You need the clear solution to a healthy...
I don't know how I feel about that interview. It was good. Richard Dawkins is good.
With vitamin E.
He's really good. I think as far as by good, I mean, did I think he got the people listening the information I would like for them to hear? And yes, he did good. I'm still thinking I'm going to watch it again. I'm thinking I want, if all the people in the world could watch this, and if I think he said or put in words a message, the message that I would have said, this is completely personal and subjective. There's nothing to do with right or wrong, up or down. This is completely to do with what Jeffrey thinks right now. This is like minutes after it just happened, so it was good. It was good. He didn't get excited. I don't know. I don't understand the questions of line of why do you feel threatened. I could have thought of a better line of questioning. I mean, of course, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I don't want to seem like I'm complaining. You had to choose one. The question they took was, why do you think, basically, why do you feel they feel threatened? That would seem like to be the main line of question. And he said he's going to answer questions. And today I was thinking the only question we got to do is ask anybody. Forget religion. Ask them, how did the universe begin? How do you think the universe began? And how they answer that question, you continue. Well, I think it hangs with what evidence do you have for that? Forget religion, forget God, anything. Just ask anybody that question. How do you think the universe and life began? And they answer that question. And then you ask them, what evidence you have of that? And then you can continue to go farther and farther down the evidence scale until you get to a I don't know, which we all have. We all have an I don't know at the end of that. Forget religion. Forget religion. But we know we don't know nothing, but certain people will use God to answer that question. And that's where that's not even religion. That's just who they think created the universe. Forget religion. Forget the Jesus thing. Ask them, how do you think the universe came into being? I'm going to get evicted. I'm going to get evicted like good people. Uh-oh.
Talking about discrimination against atheists and how the fear of becoming outcasts keeps many atheists underground. Let's turn to our Out in the Open panel again. Atheist Ellen Johnson is here.
Come on, baby.
Reverend Jesse Lee
Come on.
And radio talk show host Rachel
Don't
Maddox.
take no shit from that black man.
Do atheists bring this on themselves by going to the Supreme Court with campaigns like trying to take the words out of God, out of the pledge, trying to take the words "In God We Trust" off of the currency? You're 1 to 3% of the population. Why are you so noisy?
By trying to uphold the Constitution of the United States, I think that's being a good citizen. I think that we should be applauded for it. However, most atheists are in the closet, unfortunately. We haven't seen that. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And when atheists start coming out more and more, then we'll see more problems. But what the problem really is, and what it stems from, is that religion is losing out in America, and the religious know it. There's empty pew syndrome, there's a lot of competition among religions, and there's just a modern life. People are not going to church like they should, so the churches have to go to where the people are. They're going, the military is under siege, the prisons are under siege, the workplaces are under siege, and the public schools are under siege. And the religious are getting very angry, and they're fighting back, and when they see an atheist who tries to uphold the Constitution and challenge them when they break the law, then there are all kinds of problems. And mind you, they also go after religious people. In Pontotoc, Mississippi, when a Christian woman said that organized prayers in that school, the public school systems there, were wrong, and she challenged it, they went after her with a vengeance. Right. Bishop John Shelby Spong received 15 death threats because of his liberal views. So it's not just atheists.
You're losing out? Is that
no,
you're against these people?
Atheists are hypocrites. What they're trying to do is impose their godless lifestyle upon Americans, and especially upon Christians. This great country was built on the idea of God, family, and Constitution, and they want to change that. Now, if they want to be an atheist, it's okay to do that, but just go and do it, and don't try to change America. Remove God out of the lives of everybody. And Christians are just fighting back, and real fast. We saw the same thing with the radical homosexual movement. They decided to come out of the closet, and what they did was they imposed their lifestyle upon Americans. Now they have redefined
She was with you for a second, and now you've lost it. Hey, let me just read an me read an email that we got here. This is obviously from an atheist who talks about this idea of who has rights to do what. He writes, quote, "You ask atheists not to impose on your rights to have prayer in school and to have God in the Pledge of Allegiance. Atheists ask you not to impose on their rights to have prayer taken out of school and to have God taken out of the Pledge of Allegiance. On what basis do you assume that your rights should be taken as precedence over an atheist?" Well, obviously, Christians are in the overwhelming majority when it comes to Christians versus atheists, but does the Constitution, Rachel, not only give you freedom of religion, but freedom from religion?
The Constitution gives you freedom from religion. It creates a government that is explicitly non-religious.
So there should be equal rights, yes?
You can say that America is a Christian nation in the sense that America is a Christian majority nation, you're right, but we have a secular government. And the way we protect religion in this country and the way we have become such a religious country is by protecting religion, by keeping it utterly separate from the public sphere and from government. And so yes, it is. Let me just finish my thought.
That's right.
Make it quick.
There's not equality among religions under the American government. There is freedom from religion. Freedom from religion is what we have.
Let me ask this question. There's a common perception among Christians, or at least a common case that Christians sometimes make, that atheists, because they do not believe in God, are morally compromised. Are you morally compromised?
No, that's just bigotry. They know who atheists are. I have to respectfully disagree with Mr. Dawkins, Professor Dawkins. The theists know very well who we are, and they're not misinterpreting us or misunderstanding us. That's just bigotry. And in order to make religious people feel better, they have to say lies about.
Morals from Christians get their morals from God.
We get our morals from the fact that things that help us survive the best.
It's not about where we get our ethics from.
Where do you get them from? It's a question. That's a question. Where do you get them from?
The idea that we don't have ethics is not borne out. No one sees that. We're not the ones that are, abusing children. Professionally religious people
aren't any more ethics.
I've got to call a time out here, folks. We're not done yet because there's a lot more to talk about. Wait until you see the
We get our morals from science. Science tells us the things that help us accomplish our goal. Our goal is our success and the success of life in the universe.
Later on, here's what I was talking about. Can you believe that this was the title of a newspaper column?
We get our morals from science. Science tells us what can help us be successful in accomplishing our goal. Our goal should be the continuance of life and the universe. Ethics will come from moral. Where do you get your morals from? I knew that question was going to come. Where do you get your morals from? We get our morals from science, which tells us through test and experimentation and proper understanding of data what will help us live longer, be happier, and achieve our goal. That is our goal. For every living creature to live happily and for the universe to continue on. That is our goal. That is the only goal or purpose that we can possibly think of. That is the only goal and purpose that we are able to detect within the physics of this universe. That is not imposed on us. Our success, the continuation of life, has to be the goal. It has to be the goal. The continuation of life is the goal. How do we successfully achieve the continuation of life? What tells us how to continue life? Our doctor. That's science. Science will show us how to be healthier, live longer, protect the earth, and from that, our morals will come. Morals are nothing but what do you eat? How do you eat? How do you treat this person? I shouldn't treat this person wrong because the success of this person contributes to my success. There's empathy, a natural empathy that you don't want to hurt anybody because you don't want to be hurt. You don't have to get that from
among the stories that we're bringing out of the
sciences, all the sciences, from psychologies to geologies to anthropologies, astronomies, will present us information so that we can make decisions on the behaviors we choose to accomplish our goals. If science points out to us that eating too much sugar is bad for you, our conduct should reflect that. Why don't we go out and just rape, justify killing? It's not beneficial to the victim. From experience, empathy. Our morals will come from empathy. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. No outside source needs to impose this purpose or goal on this life or this physics. Our behavior and our ethics and our morals will all contribute to our success.